This is Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, and you're listening to the Kayfabe Connection, your home for facts, rumors, knowledge, trivia, and everything you know or hope to know about pro wrestling.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Kayfabe Connection, your home for facts, rumors, knowledge, trivia, and everything you know and hope to know about pro wrestling. Joined once again, if you watch the WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 videos, joined once again by my triple threat trios champions over here. Guys, just introduce yourself real quick.
Larry, you go first.
Oh, all right. Hey, I'm Larry, coming to you live from New Orleans.
I'm Logan, coming live from New Orleans also.
Yeah, man, we got a little bit of the north, a little bit of the south in here as far as wrestling goes. It's interesting now in this time of wrestling right now. There's a lot of people that say that wrestling shouldn't go on right now, that they should just go on hiatus. They should join the other sports. What are your guys' thoughts on that? As far as like, you know, that's always the argued thing. Wrestling should have, you know, an off season or whatever. Is now a time to pull the plug, or is now the time to just get more creative with wrestling? What do you guys think?
I think definitely right now is the time to like pull a plug because, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of older guys and even wrestlers, like some of them have underlying issues that they may get in harm. Or even if they don't, they can always catch it and not know it and go back home and give it to like their mom or their dad or their wife or whatever, husband.
Right. And to piggyback off of Larry, I think they should just pull a plug on some of it also. The keep taping new episodes and stuff. It's just like, you know, just show old footage, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I think I told y'all like in a text message, I think Ring of Honor is doing the best job with handling all of this.
Right.
Because they have such a deep tape library going back to like the early 2000s, or they're able to show like tons of matches that people have never seen, or it's going to attract new fans. Like, oh, I didn't realize, people going to be like, oh, I didn't realize Daniel Bryan was in Ring of Honor. I didn't know AJ Styles was in Ring of Honor. Samoa Joe, like, they could go back and watch those matches and become new fans.
That's the hard part about AEW though. It's like they just got started.
Yeah, they have no tape library.
Right.
Honestly, like I know like the dirt sheets are reporting that they taped enough stuff to go through mid-May, I think.
Right.
Like if it's still like the way it is by mid-May, I would just like run double or nothing or something.
Exactly. Show those road twos, you know.
Show people
like
Dustin versus Cody. Like that'll turn anybody a AEW fan.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
man.
I mean, you could air pay-per-views for free, and especially in a time where people are hurting for money, you got a free pay-per-view that is just going to broadcast on TNT. You'll have commercials, granted, but you get a free pay-per-view essentially. You could do All In, All Out, Double or Nothing, Full Gear, Revolution. You could run all those, and that gets you, I mean, how many pay-per-views do they have? Like 4 or 5 so far?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Right. So
Right.
that could bump you another month and some change.
Exactly.
So that could get you to June.
Right.
That could get you to maybe to mid-June.
Or you could
Right.
just show best of like a certain guy, like best of Cody or whatever, like
Yeah, and who's to
Darby
say,
Allin.
yeah,
know?
and who's to say you can't have, I mean, JR Excalibur, like they're still there. Like you could have like,
Yeah,
oh,
Taz,
yeah,
all of them,
Taz
yeah.
in his studio or whatever. Hey, we're gonna show you, you know, best of, and he could add like a little commentary like here and there.
And
So-
also too, like DDP, like they have full access to his DDPY studio, which I know they shot a lot of them yesterday before. But you can have Tony go there because he lives in Georgia.
Yeah.
You could just drive there, and they could do like a like back in the day we used to watch WWF Livewire, where like you have a commentator come in and like introduce like the matches.
Right.
And you could do like a small like video package for like an hour.
Right.
They could just knock a bunch of those out if they wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, dude, it made me think of something hilarious. I'm trying to remember which DVD set. It's like a WWE 3-disc DVD. Maybe it's the ECW anthology, but it's Michael Cole. It's like bonus, like the bonus clips on disc 3. Dude, it's RVD and Michael Cole, and they're just in this there's just it's like this makeshift, like they're backstage at a show. They got like one of those like Walmart plastic like poker tables. They sat down, put like a TV monitor, and then gave them both the microphones. The funniest shit ever. And it's like you can tell they didn't rehearse this. They're just like, hey, just do this for a bonus, match,
right.
whatever. And I
It's ECW, so Vince probably didn't even care. Like, they just did it.
But I guess it was an RVD match that they were going to do, like, commentary over, like, most DVD bonus features are. And Michael Cole's, how he is. He's like, welcome, fans. We're sitting here. We're going to review a WWE ECW match, and it involves, the one and only. And he, like, leans over RVD, dude. And they don't edit it, too. He says it. He goes, the whole fucking show. It's the funniest. I gotta find where that clip is, because I remember I had that 3-disc set, and it was just anytime a wrestling, like a friend was over that's a wrestling fan, I'm like, dude, have you seen this? Like, no, put it in, and we were crying every time. It's so funny because Michael Cole's like, so let's get to the action. Like, he's just thrown for a loop, like he has no idea what to do. He was not expecting that at all.
Another funny thing, well, it's kind of funny and petty that Ring of Honor did. The day of the night one of Mania on YouTube, they put up Kevin Steen versus Tyler Black. Which is smart because, yeah, I would have did the same thing.
We had them first.
Right. Speaking of that, man, it's interesting, too, now, the dynamic we're in as far as social media. For instance, all three of us, contrary to maybe some listeners, were alive during the Monday Night Wars, or at least old enough to where we could process it. And it wasn't like me watching like, Wilt Chamberlain videos from, the 60s in black and white. I'm like, oh, like, well, good. You kind of have an idea. We lived through it. There's a certain like group of people that are living through this. They say they don't want to call it a war. We'll call it a war because NXT is putting takeovers on Wednesdays to compete with regular AEW programming. There's people who are now thrown in, we'll say 20-somethings, who knows the age group, but you get the drift. They're in this war currently. The difference is between the three of us, we didn't go to like, oh shit, Stinger Splash, tweet shot by Lou on Twitter.
Right.
You watching the Sting Hogan match? Like, we didn't have that. Or to be like, man, WWE's trash, man. Everybody should watch Nitro, hashtag blah, 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 tweet during Monday nights.
Right.
Now, we see a war going on, but you also have the chitter chatter. And not only do you have the chitter chatter, you have the chitter chatter from people who just, they don't know anything other than one company. What do you guys take with all that? Like, as a wrestling fan who's kind of lived through both eras, like,
I just kind of stay out of it in a way. Because it's
you're not
crazy
ready to hop on Twitter and start fighting with people.
Because it's a little pointless to argue with somebody who didn't live through those times. It's sort of the same way with hip hop. Like, I'm not gonna argue with somebody who just know trap music rather than Nas and Wu-Tang Clan and stuff like that. So it's just pointless to me. Larry?
Yeah, I mean, it's a gift and a curse, I guess, because it is fun to like live tweet certain shows. Like watching Mania through Twitter was like a fun experience, I think, just because everybody was like laughing at it together. But like you say, it's back in the day when we were in school, like we would talk about it the next day. It wasn't no like instantaneous, like, oh, you watching this right now? We would go to school the next day and be like, oh, did you see Undertaker versus Undertaker? Like he has a clone, like stuff like that.
It wasn't all this Autobot Decepticon stuff, like picking sides. It's just like you just watched everything.
Yeah, and it speaks to social media in general. Like nobody is allowed to have an opinion on anything. Like, and if your opinion is different from the next person's, you automatically get bashed. Like, oh, your opinion sucks. Like I kept saying last week, like I'm not gonna bash anybody who likes WWE. Like more power to them, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not my style of wrestling.
And that's the thing with kayfabe. Like, you know, I took a hiatus. I never really mentioned it on the show why, but my dad was dealing with health issues. That's why Kayfabe Connection ceased for 2 years. And the direction had always been for this show to just be an outlet for maybe fans like us, the three of us and others that are tired of hearing the same wrestling show where it's just simply Raw review, SmackDown review, No Mercy predictions, No Mercy reactions, Raw review, SmackDown, so on and so NXT review. I've always wanted to put a product out where, regardless of how many people are listening, if there's people like you see up top here, Logan's got the Zack Sabre suplex shirt on. It was awesome to go to shows.
Sponsorship,
right? Shout out to Suplex. It was nice to go to shows and have people go, yo, I had no idea who Zack Sabre Jr. was, and you taught me about it. Like Logan even jokes about it too. Man, you were on some like different promotions that I wasn't watching at the time, and then I heard it on your show, and so like I jumped to the archives to try to see. And I also say that to say this: none of the like, we're not going to pretend to be these gatekeepers. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Yo, I've been watching New Japan, dude, since like 1983." Like, no, you know. And like, I don't. I'm not.
Molly takes of. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I don't plan on pontificating about wrestling. All I can do is I'm one man, one person that enjoys a product, enjoys the business, enjoys wrestling as in the nature of all. It's just the sport, two people locking up, three tag teams, whatever, melees. I just enjoy the sport. And in my opinion, there's different politics and there's different things that pervert the sport. That's not on some like Cornette shit, like, oh, everything needs to be dudes in black trunks that are like, and tough guys. Like, you can't have Dalton Cat. I'm not saying that. But there's wrestling fans who don't really have a voice as far as the status quo. Because when people hear, like, it's like when iPod was introduced. MP3 player is an MP3 player. Then it became just an iPod. Every little shitty MP3 player, oh, you got an iPod? No, it's like an MP3. It like monopolizes and controls.
Yeah, it's the same thing happened with Xerox back in the day, or Coke. I mean, Kleenex. There's a million different tissue brands, but
Kleenex. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just kind of shining light on wrestling as a whole. And if it's good, it's good. If it's horrible, it's horrible. But I don't think any of us, and especially as Logan said, we're not in a business to go, man, we're going to start this to like be the anti-WWE show. Because for the little stretch of the kayfabe show that was going on in 2016 to 18, I didn't touch WWE. And that draws away listeners. If you're in this to be like, yo, we're going to get 1 million subs and like, we're just going to whore this thing out to like whatever show's on, we're going to watch it regardless if our heart's in it. Like, why would I want to waste any of our time reviewing a show we're not into? The exception was WrestleMania. And just from that experience alone from the three of us, I'm sure we can all attest, that felt like getting in trouble in school and you have to scrape all the gum under the desk. Like, that's what that felt like. I had fun with you guys, but from a wrestling standpoint, where was the wrestling? I wasn't watching matches where I'm like, dude, did you see that move? Bro, run it back. Like, man, you see the highlight? Nothing. A Boneyard thing. It was a Lucha Underground adjacent movie, and we laughed at it, and it was funny.
Which it was entertaining, but it's not wrestling.
It's not.
But
and so,
I'll give them that. But that's the E in WWE, is entertainment.
And that's a distinguishing difference, is to point those differences out and to not be afraid to do it either. And I'm sure there's people that'll cross the video. They see the AEW banner and the AEW posters above the video games there, and they're like, oh, this guy, and da-da-da-da-da. But how many shows do you have with the dude that has on the freaking AJ Styles shirt that's got the winged eagle in his background and it's HBK doing the, like,
Right.
it's no different. You favor what you favor. It's like ice cream flavors.
Yeah.
And for the three of us especially, we grew up in a time where we saw a war and the teams that we wanted to win the war failed. We see what happened to them, where WWE has pushed this narrative where they don't matter. Go watch the Triple H Sting match from WrestleMania 31, and
go watch Triple H versus Booker T.
I just was watching that yesterday and was laughing.
Make sure you get him a towel first before you go watch it, though.
He could have gave that guy his moment, man. That was his moment.
Yeah, Vince didn't create it. It doesn't mean anything in the wrestling world, and people get brainwashed with that mentality, especially with AEW now. What is the main complaint that you hear? The rhetoric that you hear from people
it's too much like WWE. If I hear that one more time,
it's some indie marks.
Yeah. Oh, the championship match at Revolution was Jericho and Ambrose, two WWE guys. Like, oh, it's the Castaway Company.
Well, y'all full of Impact guys and built off of AWA guys.
Look how big of a star Darby Allin became in the matter of seemingly weeks.
And that's another thing we could talk about. Like, I know over the years, and rightfully so, Vince McMahon has been called a creative genius, and the WWE is like a star-making machine. But, I mean, how many stars have they made recently? How many stars have come out the Performance Center in Orlando?
Homegrown stars. You have Roman Reigns. You have Baron Corbin, who have been pretty predominant on WWE television.
And the numbers have shown that Baron Corbin is not a money draw. So we can nix that right now. So, I mean, Roman Reigns, he might be the only star they've created.
Pretty much, yep.
Since John Cena.
I mean, and you look at a guy like Jinder Mahal, I guess he had a run a little bit. But what's funny about that run is Jinder Mahal's house shows drew higher gates than Seth Rollins' recent run as champion. Those are facts. Because, Kayfabe Connection, you're home for facts, rumors, right? Facts.
And that's another thing. When you start bringing up Nielsen ratings and stuff, like, people like, oh, it's fake. Like, no, actually, it's public knowledge. Like, you can go look it up yourself.
And it's what you say to that.
Where is Jinder Mahal anyway?
eating his NutraSolutions meal plans or whatever he plugs.
Yeah, Titus Catering, huh?
Dude, the Maharaja, man. Like,
shout out the 3-man band, the most dominant stable in WWE
ever in history.
Oh man,
Heath Slater's about to get a WWE title run.
I love it. I'll pay for that pay-per-view.
He's gonna be a lifer. He's gonna be a lifer. he ain't going anywhere, huh?
So, yeah, it's just, I think it's important to, now that we're kind of rolling this out, we did the Goofy Mania watch parties, but now that we're rolling out new episodes and stuff, it's just important to, I don't say justify. I don't believe in, like, you got to justify everything and preface everything so you don't upset anybody. Like, our thoughts are our thoughts. If you want clarification, maybe I'll provide it to you. Like, if you have 2 followers on Twitter and you have an egg, like, I don't need to clarify or justify to you. If you're a wrestling fan, like, there's as many dislikes on night 2 of Mania as there are of likes. There was someone in the comment section that said, I enjoyed Firefly Funhouse. My reaction was, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Cool.
Right.
I'm not in this. This is not a troll podcast. It's not. Enjoy what you enjoy. But if you're a WWE diehard and you're under that narrative that they created wrestling and wrestling doesn't exist beyond Stamford, Connecticut, you're probably not going to enjoy the show because we're not going to cover WWE. In passing, current wrestlers that were there at one point, maybe the comparison of how they're booked differently, maybe, perhaps, but we're not touching on, man, who do you think's going to win Money in the Bank? We're going to do a Money in the Bank prediction show. You will not fucking see a Money in the Bank prediction show on the Kayfabe Connection channel. There are 8 million channels that you can go to subscribe to where you can hear that. No disrespect to them.
Right.
That's just not what we're doing here.
And
So,
the key factor in the narrative about WWE, like, winning because I mean they won every battle, like, so they get to tell us side of the story.
Exactly.
Like, I recommend a WA documentary to anybody.
yeah, the AWA
Network description.
I'm gonna have to go watch that. I haven't viewed it yet.
Because the same thing that's happening now with the UK scene. Well, it happened because the UK scene is pretty much dead now. But
What you mean? Pete Dunne said it was okay.
Right.
You and his belt. Cool.
They're trying to do it in Japan, which I think is not going to happen because of cultural differences. But they pretty much like rated AWA's whole locker room. Like you go down a list of guys that was in AWA, it's like crazy. Like Flair. You had Andre the Giant. You had Hulk Hogan, who AWA created, by the way. Don't believe that lie that Vince McMahon created Hulk Hogan. AWA did that like 5 years prior.
Indeed.
You had Shawn Michaels there, Marty Jannetty, Scott Hall, Eric Bischoff was there. Like,
and the fact that it's on a network and nobody go watch it, it's hilarious.
It's there for you. It's like people have these options, and they're like we always joke about it. Oh man, like what channel is Impact on? Or oh, I don't get the El Rey channel for Lucha. Or like that's been the running joke for how many years? Because WWE has been such a staple on USA and silk stockings and La Femme Nikita, and it's this household thing that's just tattooed in our brains. And deviating away from that, I'm telling you, it's possible very quickly. I'm a former professor. When the fall semester would roll in and it's August and they're like, Professor Feltner, which classes would you like? Bruh, Mondays I would look and be like, yo, the latest I'm teaching class is 7 so that I can get home and watch Monday Night Raw. I based my professional career off of wrestling on Monday nights and whatever night SmackDown was on, And so now I'm at a point, it's Monday. Like, it'll be Monday and I'm like, yo, what movie you want to watch? We're watching some old Tom Hanks movie. And then someone will send me like a meme of like, oh man, they poured dog food on so-and-so. I'm like, oh yeah, Monday. Like my Mondays are no longer synonymous with
I'll
wrestling.
be watching House Hunters.
HGT with your wife, right?
Right.
But you know what day is synonymous with wrestling? Wednesdays. When Wednesdays come around, I'm thinking of which flavor wings I want. Am I going to get a Big Dipper?
Right.
You can feel it, like the excitement that you get when you wake up on a Wednesday. You're like, man, it's a wrestling day. Like I'm going to watch wrestling matches today. The same way that you get programmed is the same way that you can just reprogram. And so you feel like it's difficult to break habits, but it's really not. Because isn't that the thing? How many times have you heard your friends or peers say, this is the final straw. If Cena wins tonight, I'm canceling the network. I'm done with this company. My cousin said it when Bray lost to Goldberg. That's it. He sent me the screenshot. Oh, I canceled my subscription. Then he's back to watching the Firefly Funhouse, and it's like, dude, that was sick. And I'm like, it's like the Men in Black, like, boop, like, give it a week and you're back to watching it again. And that's it. It's like, it's so easy to dupe you back in. I don't find it to be that difficult because we all three quit we can speak all to this, not just me speaking for you. You can attest to this. We all quit at the same time, really.
Yep.
In your hometown of New Orleans.
At WrestleMania.
The granddaddy of them all. All three of us were like, yeah, nah, I'm good, man. I'm done. I'm good with this. Like,
I haven't looked back.
Torture. Yeah, I mean, and there's people at that time that, the AJ Nakamura. Oh, just give heel Nakamura. Just give it a little bit to like set in. Like,
let it play out.
Let it play out. What happened with that?
And that's the thing too, like all of our favorite guys that went over there. Remember there was a time where we used to get excited for like that typical like NXT shot of your favorite indie guy in the crowd. But now to the point you hate to see it now because it's like once you get that WWE paint job on you, it's like your whole thing.
Get neutered. Yeah, dude, Finn Balor. Devitt is one of my wife and I included, we are Irish. We went to Bray Wicklow. I went to the Fight Factory. Wifey didn't want to take a bump. I wanted to do like a top rope kind of like, hey, let's take a bump at the fight. She didn't want to take any bumps. I'm like, I'm not in ring shape. I don't want to hurt myself in Ireland. And then I'm screwed. I'm like, but we were in Devitt's hometown, and Becky Lynch trained there. Virgil Devitt trained there, and Balor. It was this big deal. We had the shirts on all nerdy, throwing the too sweet. Like, we are diehard Finn Balor fans. You would think because a company has my favorite guys, it'd be like, oh man, like, yeah, I don't really care for the company or like their practices and like what they stand for, but my guys are and girls are there. It's to the point like they go there. I say it all the time. It's where your favorite wrestlers go to die. Right. Steen is another one. I saw Steen's last pay-per-view match in Nashville, his last Ring of Honor match with Carino and Dearborn, like, followed that whole run, that last run. I went to PWG, saw all these guys. It's like
Sami Zayn.
Exactly.
Put on the list. That whole era of indie guys, like Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, like all of them.
And he keep constantly signing new people, and those people are getting glossed over. Yeah. For people like Robert Gronkowski,
coming out like
right,
comedy 7 title. Like, right. I don't want to hear someone. Well, I will hear you, but I will not take it seriously if you have the rose-colored glasses on, because we can all say that. There's been things in AEW where you can look at it, and not in a nitpicky way, but go, man, that Dynamite wasn't really that good. All 3 of us have said that at one point. We're like, that wasn't their greatest episode, but not every show can be like top notch, whatever. But yeah, it was kind of a weak show. They'll pick it up next week or something. We'll see. Right? That's just how it goes. But there's other companies, man, where you watch and you go, what are they giving? What reason do I have to watch them? Because it's not the wrestling. They're not giving me wrestling. And isn't it sad, like Gulak and Bryan's on a card and everyone's like, oh man, this is the wrestling match. The whole card should be wrestling matches. Not one not one match where you go, oh, that's the technical match right there. And maybe I'm cut differently, man, because like if I saw like Regal, like Dean Malenko is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Mm-hmm. How entertaining was he? How charismatic was he? Really, not really at all. Boring as dry toast. But him in the ring, the man of 1,000 moves, right? Armbar, Jericho on Nitro, making fun of him.
Yep, the original list for the people too young to remember that.
Right. So it's ice cream flavors, as we say. It's all in what you're into. Same with Zack Sabre. There's people who I remember hearing people say he was boring. I was in Reseda at PWG main event. Kyle O'Reilly, and Zack Sabre Jr. There were people turning on Zack Sabre, and the scuttlebutt from people was, oh, he's boring, and he was just the fan favorite like a couple months ago. But then the complaint was, oh, he's boring because he does bridges and technical chain wrestling moves. He's not doing 1,040s off the off a ladder.
Well, same thing gonna happen to Timothy Thatcher when he finally debuts in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Thatcher's gonna be the same way.
Killer Cross.
In that, it's interesting how that, like, Moxley said the whole paradigm shift, and that was like those words, like, we go back, that's going to be in the highlight reel of this whole era of like that promo, because it's so true. The dynamic has shifted. Wednesday nights are the wrestling night, and not just for AEW, but in wrestling in general. Wrestling night is Wednesday nights, guys.
Yep.
It really is, because even the most devout WWE fans will right now probably attest, if you want to watch the best wrestling is probably on NXT.
Yeah, where you can watch Keith Lee and Dijak for like the 1,000,000th time.
But again, to someone that's new to it, they look at that and go, oh, this is a fresh feud.
Right.
But you'll see the partisan attacks. It's the same thing with politics, dude. We won't touch on any specific things on this because this is a wrestling podcast. But it's with politics. It's like with sports. Your team has a good play. Oh, that was pass interference. No, it wasn't. That was clean. Then it happens to you, and you go, oh, man, that's bogus. And they go, no, it was clean. Like,
shout out to the Saints. Screwed 2 years in a row.
Hey, you're talking to a Lions fan, man. I feel you guys, my heart and soul. But yeah, it's like whatever team you ride with, you will apologize for them over and over. And I think the complaints that I've heard about AEW, I don't feel that there's merit to a lot of the complaints that people complain about them because, one, they're a new company. You can't compare something to another company that has been around for X number of years. But I feel like those comparisons are like apples to VHS tapes.
Right.
You
This is a startup company. Like at the end of the day, like this
T-shirt company.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Piss Ant
Yeah.
Company.
Yeah, it's Triple H likes to say.
Yeah, the Piss Ant Company. But it's obviously the hunger's there. Dude, All In, and I know you guys have attended some fun wrestling shows. I think Mania 18 with Rock Hogan, the energy was just, you can't, if I could put it in a bottle and give it to people so they could feel it, it was crazy. 25 with Taker and HBK was like, I felt like out of body, like my body was buzzing and we're like getting up and down and hugging people and high-fiving and flying all over our seats. Like the energy level's unparalleled. Those are WWE shows. All In was something I've never felt as a wrestling fan, and that's all companies included. It felt like you're in a room with 11,000 people that are starving, and there's a person that's like, I got sandwiches, and you're like, fuck yeah, I've been waiting 8 years for a sandwich. That's how the hunger, like that is how invested everyone was. Like, it's not just the Mark with his Motor City Machine Gun shirt and the AW banner that's, you know, interested in AEW. Clearly, this is a need that thousands of people have been salivating over. And I'm sure that the two of you can attest to it too.
Right.
How long have you waited for this era in wrestling to happen?
Probably since WCW closed.
Right?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. How long ago was that? That's 2 decades.
Yeah, I was in middle school.
I would personally say the same length of time. I mean,
you had Impact.
To be fair, WWE had a good run like after WCW closed, but the Ruthless Aggression era is probably my favorite era of WWE.
Right.
That was due to ECW and WCW guys being on the roster too.
Right.
Yeah,
so we had matchups we never seen before, but I mean, pretty much from like 2005 to maybe 2012, I like stopped watching wrestling altogether because I was just mad with the product, and I didn't know there were alternatives out there. So I missed a lot of stuff from like Ring of Honor and PWG from that time period. But I had to go back and watch it.
Shout out to TNA Impact also, because they kind of filled that void. You know, when those companies did go out of business. Yeah. But as far as like a WCW scale, I'm so happy that AEW is there.
It's giving us what we've wanted. It's pushing WWE's threshold, whether they want to admit it or not. Again, they just put on a takeover show on a Wednesday night for free and passed it off as just a regular episode of NXT. Well, that was the takeover that was supposed to happen in Tampa. They put on TV, but AEW is not competition though. You know, they could have had it as a network special and just put it on the WWE network. No, they put it on TV, and their ratings were only 1,000 viewers over a regular pedestrian episode of AEW. That really shows you the needle, how the needle has jumped as far as wrestling.
And that's another thing I want to. Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about too, because everybody focuses on that total viewer number, but that's not the number that counts when it comes to ratings. It's the demo winning the demo, and AEW still won in the demo, so technically AEW still won. And it's ironic because the 2 times NXT did beat AEW in a total number, which has only happened twice since this whole war started. They only won by the total viewers. They didn't win by the demo.
Right.
Exactly.
But WWE fans love to point that out that, we had more viewers than AEW, but that's not the case. And I think it's ironic. Wait, let me get this point out. During the Monday Night War, remember they were always saying they were the number 1 show on TV on Monday nights, which was totally false because they weren't number 1 in total viewers. They were number 1 in the demo.
The demo.
So it's ironic that now they're trying to debate that. Well, back then they were doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's a great point. Logan, you were saying?
All I was trying to say was AEW is just continue being themselves every week. They're not trying to put on ladder matches with cage. They only had one cage match really, and probably one Iron Man, I believe, off the top of my head. With Pac
Yeah,
and
Omega and Pac, yeah, and then Wardlow and Cody, yeah.
Right, and then you see clips of NXT. Is like everything has to be overly epic all the time, just to try to get a gift pop. Like,
yeah, because Tony Khan could have put on Blood and Guts from an empty, like from the Jacksonville arena. He could have put it on an Atlanta arena, like gym or warehouse, wherever they film. He held it off because he wants that to be, it's not to pop a rating. Oh, Blood and Guts annihilates NXT in the ratings. No, he just wants the fans to be able to have that moment and to have that energy and to have that caliber of a match be in front of fans. So he put wrestling fans over the ratings, over the ego, over everything. How refreshing is that?
Because at the end of the day, that's what counts, and that's what leads to the high numbers in the demo.
Right.
He puts the fans first. He also listens to the fans. When people criticize it, you can see, like, what was that stretch in December, I think, where they had a stretch of bad shows?
Before the New Year's,
they listened to the criticism.
Exactly.
Right before the coronavirus, they were, like, peaking, like, every week having classic shows for, like, 5 weeks straight.
Oh, they were on fire. Like the COVID stuff hit at a really untimely thing for a lot of people. And we're sitting here as wrestling fans. We're spoiled wrestling fans. There's people's lives that are lost. Like it's more than wrestling here. It's public safety. It's health. So we're not going to sit here and act like spoiled wrestling fans. Like, oh, we don't give a wrestling. But it did come at this weird time where it was like, man, they were white hot. And it couldn't have happened at a worse time. But they've already shown how resilient they've been, to Larry's point, where they kind of bounce back after people just wrote them off. Oh man, the Dark Order is so stupid, and and then they come back.
Everybody loves the Dark Order now.
Exactly. Oh, Brody Lee's crazy, And there's people who that might rub them the wrong way because Brody Lee is doing this tongue-in-cheek Vince McMahon parody. And there's people that go, oh, can AEW just leave them alone and not talk about them? But then there's maybe some fans like us that, dude, when he's doing the little, like, don't sneeze and all that and the little nuances like that and you catch it and it's not a cheap, company in New York sucks on a promo like they used to do in WCW. This is more subtle and more creative. I dig it. I love it every time I hear it or see it. I'm like, dude, this is amazing.
It pays to like be in the know with stuff like that because if you're just a casual fan, you're not gonna pick up on a don't sneeze thing or eating a steak. Like you gotta really like know your backstory of Vince McMahon to understand a lot of those jokes.
Thanks.
Exactly. What are we hitting on now? I think we pretty much addressed. Oh, Larry, I gotta go. I gotta run out the room real quick. If you could for me, I'm only gonna be gone like a minute tops. Run down the breaking news that you blessed us with today in our personal chat. If you can see, does everybody see on the channel here? You see Larry's little tag there, hashtag FTR. Larry, break them down with the breaking news today.
Yeah, so today I'm like scrolling on Twitter, checking my timeline, see what's going on, like I do every morning, and I see that the Revival have been released by the WWE. That the WWE tweeted themselves, so
hilarious.
Yeah, we might be getting a Revival in AEW pretty soon here. Personally, I think they're gonna probably do some work in New Japan, but I think AEW is gonna be their home just because of their relationship with the Bucks.
Right.
And that's a dream match everybody wanted. And all of a sudden, AEW is like a hotbed for tag team wrestling.
Yep.
Because you go down the list, like they'll have a Revival. They'll have the Bucks. They got Private Party still. They got the Lucha Bros. They got Best Friends. There's so many tag teams, like the Blade and the Butcher. Like,
it maybe it's good that they don't have a crowd right now. Then they could come back when they actually have live audiences, so that way they could get that real big pop from them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a 90-day complete clause, so it's gonna be a while anyway if they do have one.
Right.
So hopefully, at 90 days, the crowds will be back by then. So
I would like to see them do some work in new NWA because I think they would be a pretty nice fit over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not like Champagne Poppy Drake, where he's like, "Hey, can you fix me a drink?" You see him as, "Hey, fix me another drink."
I'm over here on my green tea trying to boost my immune system.
There you go. Yeah, speaking of which, I got to take my emergency today. I take one of those raspberry packets every day, doing our due diligence to stay healthy. But yeah, I got to stay hydrated with my reverse osmosis water.
Green tea, honey, and lemon.
Mm.
That's what I'm doing to fight the corona.
Preach. There you go, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just saying how AEW is like a hotbed for tag team wrestling all of a sudden. Like,
Right.
when the revival comes, like, it's so many dream matches. Like, the revival versus Lucha Bros, like, that's going to be crazy.
There's so many great matches that we're going to see. And also,
no flips.
Right? I hopefully, if things shake out, you know, everybody's public safety and health first and foremost. With that being said, if everything goes well and we can run all in, all out, what are they going to call it this year? All upside down, whatever they want, whatever preposition they want to throw in. That's got to be on the card. Young Bucks and the Revival at the Chicago Labor Day.
Oh yeah, right. That's the match everybody wants.
That's gonna sell tickets just by itself.
Just that.
And
Revival Bucks. Which they're going to be called the Top Guys, I think. They trademarked Top.
Yeah, they trademarked the name. But that's AEW in a nutshell. Like, imagine WWE leading with a tag team main event. When the last time you saw that in WWE?
Right. But here go AEW again.
AEW has potential to lead a big time pay-per-view with
Point
the
to the
Buck versus
banner.
Revival.
AEW signing a bunch of WWE guys. That's the rhetoric.
I think something else that we could address too, we kind of alluded to it a few moments ago about this pandemic kind of happening at this weird time where like this company in AEW was white hot. I think you can't just throw that out there. I think you got to say too, New Japan and Ring of Honor, especially Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor had this almost resurgence of sorts. Right? See the G1 Supercard, ROHWrestling.com for that super sale.
I was there. Madison Square Garden.
So we kind of all wrote Ring of Honor off before Mania because we joked about it. Oh, I'm not going to go to Tampa and, you know, and then the Supercard of Honor card started getting together and Kenta was on and Ishii and we're just like, what's happening right now? And then you see Marty re-signs with ROH, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute. It's like the moment we wrote Ring of Honor off, they came back and just full force. Bandito re-signed.
Right.
Dragon Lee, exactly. It pains me that Ring of Honor aren't running shows right now because, again, they were completely just the sea salt, like the teeter-totter was just like, just completely went in their favor and turned everybody. Even me,
like,
I wrote them off. I'm like,
right.
How are they last?
We would joke all the time about like making like fake Delirious matches that we think Delirious would book. That was like the running joke for months. But
Cheeseburger versus Bully Ray and a loser leaves town street fight in the Buffalo Armory. Shout out to
somewhere in Michigan.
Right. Ring Honor is going to be good for two reasons. One, because of Marty Scurll, we've already seen what he's done with the company as one of the head bookers. And two, they have like the biggest broadcasting company in the country backing them, so they're not strapped for cash right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I was listening to David Starr's podcast last night. Shane Taylor was on there, and he was saying how the guys are still getting paid and everybody's getting treated fairly during this time. So I have high hopes for Ring of Honor when we come out of this virus.
Yeah,
I think they're going to bounce back great.
Yeah, and run some damn shows in New Orleans, guys. Like,
right. Well, we just had a Ring of Honor show. Like, when was that, Logan? Like,
probably like 3 months ago, huh?
Yeah, Marty Scurll said at the end, after the show went off, he was like, "We'll see you back," and I was like, "Oh, what does he mean by that?" So now we know, I guess.
Yeah.
Plan on resigning with them a long time ago.
Yeah. New Japan too. I mean, what do you think about New Japan, guys? Like,
this sucks because this sucks for the Japanese wrestling scene in general because I think a lot of companies are gonna not come out of this. But New Japan, I don't worry about because they have, just like Ring of Honor, they got a big company backing them. they're not strapped for cash either. But it sucks that they're still going through this just like everybody else.
Right, because
But hopefully by October when the G1 comes back, things will be back to normal.
Right.
At least it came on that time too. I think maybe you could look at it glass half full from that standpoint, as like at least this hit before G1, when really Dominion, the Antaku shows. No, I'm not downplaying them or like, oh, we can skip those. But if we had to pick a calendar time where it was like what we could do without, as long as I get G1 in October.
And it's ironic. Yeah, it's ironic because everything got pushed back because of the Olympics. So G1 would have normally been this summer. It probably would have got canceled. But not since it got pushed back to October due to the Olympics, which the Olympics got canceled. But this is also giving a lot of wrestlers the time to heal and get healthy. So that's another silver lining you could look at.
Right.
Yeah, and I think lastly, too, to kind of put a bow on this before we get into our final segment, I think this is a time as a wrestling fan where instead of fighting with someone on Twitter about who's the bigger fan of this promotion or, oh, you're not a fan because you don't know this guy, you could take some time and like go YouTube a wrestler that you've like Dynamite Kid. I've heard of Dynamite Kid all the time. Who is that guy? Oh, he inspired Chris Benoit and this, that, and the third. And oh, he worked in New Japan and this and that. I'm going to go research Dynamite Kid because I heard about it on the Dark Side of the Ring thing. And I'm going to go search him. Oh shit, I'm a Dynamite Kid fan now. And then the wormhole kind of like works itself. This is a time where you don't have your regular like brainwash programming where you can step outside. You can learn a new skill, you can get new hobbies that you didn't know you liked. Like if you're a wrestling fan, go like look at High Spots, dude. High Spots is running a 50% off sale right now, and they have some gyms on there.
ECW shows like without the WWE piped in music that you hear on the network. ECW shows like they were intended to be watched. Going for like $7-8 right now.
And some of these are like 5-6 disc like best of.
Yeah, I got, like, you saw the Daniel Bryan, for people that don't know. I got his best of DVD for, like, what, $14?
Dude, that's less than a Big Dipper. Like,
it's like four discs. It's 4 discs full of matches.
Like me, I always wanted to get into Joshi wrestling. You know, I never saw all Japan women stuff. So I got the 5-disc DVD, you know, for $14.99.
Yeah, man. So I think this is the time where it sucks, man. I wish that we had Blood and Guts. I wish we had New Japan pay-per-views and shows on a regular basis. I wish we had everything. Ring of Honor, like we've already discussed all the highlights of why this is actually a good thing. And we can take this opportunity of what we've been going through, as weird and crazy as these times have been. Our favorite wrestlers are going to get healed up.
Yep.
Our favorite wrestlers are going to be hungrier than ever. Our favorite wrestlers are drafting storyline ideas in their den or wherever they're at in their home, going, oh, man, when we come back, we got to hit it hard with this angle. I feel like this is going to be a huge boom for wrestling. One, because people are just going to be thirsty for entertainment to begin with. But secondly, there's been so much idle time for all these creative people to get into better ring shape, better shape, physically, mentally, everything. People are going to be hungry out of the gate, ready to go, physically ready. We're going to get presumably another maybe boom period in wrestling due to all this. So trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel, see what I did there? That there is a light at the end of the tunnel with this, and we will see another boom with wrestling. And what a time to be alive once, you know, all that kind of comes to fruition. So
right.
Yeah. So to put a bow on that, we're at our final segment of the episode here. We call this Triple Threat, right? Shout out to Shane Douglas. We might have to pipe in the Triple Threat theme song for the next episode. Because that's the thing. We're only going to come up from here. I wasn't expecting to shoot like Terminator 2 quality, like James Cameron shit with this. Clearly, we're executing Zoom and mics and lighting to the best of our abilities. And as this show gains more popularity, as this show progresses, every bit of the quality is going to go up as well. So all things concerned as far as that goes, and getting more creative, but clearly just wanting to bring something on a weekly continuous basis and not just once a week. There could be big news that drops, like today. Larry dropped the news about Revival. That was enough for us to just be like, yo, let's record. So I plan on pumping out all kinds of content and episodes that people can get into. I plan on dropping commentary on different matches, or maybe a wrestler. We've already talked about it, a wrestler during this time that you really weren't familiar with, like you knew on a name basis but didn't dig deep into the archives. We could give attention to that on a podcast as well, so there's all the opportunities are endless as far as these different episodes that come out for Kayfabe Connection. So before the last segment, just wanted to plug at the letter K FABE Connection on Twitter. Go ahead and give Kayfabe Connection a follow. Subscribe. I'm going to throw in a subscribe little button on here so that people see it when they watch the video. It's just common nature. Just click that subscribe button. Share, tell a friend, give your honest feedback. That's what we're here for. So Kayfabe Connection on Instagram, and I think that's about it as far as the plugs go.
And with the triple threat segments, we also want to, in the comment section, people to leave their triple threat picks too.
Exactly. Leave it in the comment section. Who's your favorite three? And then fill in the blanks. Obviously, the theme, see where we're going. Triple threat hosts, triple threat as far as the match stipulation, triple threat with a top three of whatever we deem the topic to be. Larry already dropped it. The Revival kind of made us, think a little bit. Today's triple threat match involves who the top three tag teams are of all time in all of pro wrestling, all promotions, all things considered. This is our triple threat match scheduled for one fall, right? top three tag teams of all time. What do you guys have?
Well, me, I'm gonna go with my personal preferences.
Sure.
I'm gonna start with number three, my three favorite. For three, I picked the Harlem Heat just because, coming up as a kid in the 90s, like, let's be honest, like, there weren't a lot of black wrestlers. And when I first saw the Harlem Heat, I was like, man, who are these dudes? Like, they were, like, doing crazy moves. Like, Booker T and Stevie Ray both could talk. They were just ahead of their time with all of that stuff. And then, of course, Booker T went on to be a single star, and we all know where his career went with that. Like, 5-time WCW champ.
Right.
Like, legend.
Legend, yeah.
Number two, I went with the Dudleys.
Man. They got it in the mix, man.
I could have picked the Dudleys just because of the ECW run alone, but, the WWE run, I'm not going to even talk. We don't have to mention the ladder matches they had with Christian and Edge and the Hardys. It's like the Dudleys, like Bubba Ray was a talker, Devon was a talker. The Dudley Death Drop is one of my favorite moves of all time.
Right.
And number one, I had to go with my favorite team of all time. I had to go with the Young Bucks. They literally changed the game of wrestling. They helped start a promotion that we all love. They got me back into wrestling after I stopped watching for so many years. Like, who are these guys? Like, throwing super kicks around. Like, they were just fun to watch. Every match they do is, like, at least 4 stars, I think.
Right.
All the matches they had with the Lucha Bros. And I could have easily had the Motor City Machine Guns on here. Like, to be honest, like, they're the bridge between, I think, the Dudley and Harlem Heat era to the Young Bucks era. They influenced a lot of people, so I want to shout out the Motor City Machine Guns. I see Fred got the shirt on.
Shout out to all my three Michiganders. When you show them where you're from, this is how we do. You know a true Michigander when they're like, where are you from? And you're like, oh, I'm from. If you're
the first time I saw somebody do that, I was like, what the hell are they doing? But yeah, that's my three favorite tag teams. Number one,
that's a great list. Yeah.
Number two, the Dudleys. 3, Harlem Heat. And my honorable mention is Motor City Machine Guns, and also the Impact Players. Shout out to Lance Storm and Just Incredible.
All right.
Solid, man. Logan, what do you got for us?
And I don't want to leave people off, but if I had to pick three, I would go number three would be the first would be the Young Bucks, because they showed you how to do it without a quote unquote real job. Without going to the WWE, they done been like the best entertaining tag team without a machine backing them, and now it started a whole new company, so that speaks volumes. Number two, I'm gonna have to go with the Road Warriors, because that was probably like one of the first tag teams that I ever watched as a kid, with the face paint and shoulder pads and stuff like that, and just like beating the crap out of people. So that'd be my number two pick. Number one would probably be the Steiner brothers, because it was like the first guys to like really suplex people around in that style. It was just different, dog face gremlin. As a kid, that kind of like made you like them, But honorable, I don't really have an honorable, because I feel like I'm gonna leave out some people like I would like to say Harlem Heat, but I don't want to piggyback off of
Nah, you can say honorable Mr. Harlem Heat, because I left off Owen Hart and Yokozuna. That's another team I could have picked.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna pick AMW, America's Most Wanted, from Impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do yourself a favor and go watch a match or two from them.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely.
Like that steel cage match when he fought Triple X. Do yourself a favor and watch that one.
Man, so it's funny too how the Venn diagram of like, and we didn't rehearse this. We weren't like, yo, I'm picking, so you don't pick them. This was all like, this is the triple threat stip. This is what we're going over. Pick it. We'll go over it. Right? Here's my three. Before I give my three, though, honorable mention. I gotta go New Age Outlaws, man. Like,
oh man, I forgot about that.
I gotta go New Age Outlaws.
How could I forget?
Man, oh, you didn't know? You could do that 100 years from now. We'll be long gone. There's gonna be kids, adults, people are gonna repeat that phrase. You're at the supermarket, see a dude with a wrestling shirt and hit him with that. Like, it's tattooed in the lexicon of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the phrases, though. Their matches were all entertaining. They just knew how to put together matches. They knew how to get heat. They knew how to work a crowd to get a reaction. It's just, they were just so over, man. Some of those shows at the Joe in the glory days, being at those shows, and New Age Outlaws would always be co-main event, because they, next to the single guys, they were the cat's pajamas in WWE at the time. So, man, the Outlaws got to be on an honorable mention. Coming in at number three, I got to say, man, Hart Foundation, dude. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, rest his soul, and the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Mr. Bret Hart. I give the Hart Foundation 10 out of 10 to Bret Hart metrics. That's tag team wrestling, man. You think Rockers, you think Bulldogs, teams that could be in other people's honorable mentions, but you think Hart Foundation, man, like, classic, dude. Like, just absolutely classic. Had some fun matches. There were some matches that weren't even televised that after the fact that I've got to see that I'm like, oh shit, like, and it was never televised. It was never on like a pay-per-view or whatever.
Right.
But to me, like, the Hart Foundation is tag team wrestling. And now that I'm thinking of this, I know there's going to be some controversy to this triple threat, because there's a team that I know none of us mentioned, and I'll get to that here in a moment. But coming in at number two, I got to go with the Steiner Bros. Now, you see all the Red Wing stuff in the back. You see the Detroit stuff, all that. So I got a Motor City Machine Gun shirt. I'm a homer. Sue me. But the Steiner brothers, again, I think getting off just being a homer, and they repped Michigan. They had the Michigan varsity jackets on. I think the thing about them is, dude, the Frankensteiner, how many moves? There's people that argue that Scott Steiner is the one that invented the high spot that we all know and love today, right?
Yep.
Right.
that Scott Steiner was the first one to really put that move on the map.
Right.
It was beyond just brothers and they're from Michigan and it's that. Yeah, you take pride in that, especially as a kid. You see these two dudes, like you said, the Gremlin and the big Jack Scott Steiner, and they got the Michigan jackets, and you're like,
colorful outfits.
Yeah, the colors, like it appealed to kids, like
yeah, the headgear. You're like, dude, these guys are tight. Like they rep my hometown. They rep like they're just badasses. Like cool,
Right.
I'm rolling with these guys,
Right.
but their matches were all consistent. Like name a whack Steiner Bros match. It's going to be really hard to come by.
Right.
Maybe the latter WCW years or whatever, but when they were in their heyday in the prime, man, the Steiners were just no joke. And again, their moves were revolutionary. They revolutionized wrestling moves and tag team tandem moves as well. Those are moves to this day that people bite off of, and everybody's used it ad nauseum. So I had to put the Steiners. Number one, you heard the bumper at the beginning of the episode. I would never disrespect this team, especially after he blessed me with a kayfabe soundbite. Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, Nick Jackson. The Young Bucks are my favorite tag team of all time. And again, that could be deemed as a homer call. Oh, they're AEW guys, whatever. You have never, and I'm looking right into the camera. Let's make sure we make eye contact, everybody that's listening in YouTube. You have never seen a tag team put together a consistent run of solid 4-star, 5-star matches over and over and over and over and over again in New Japan, in PWG, in Ring of Honor, already in AEW, the Hangman Omega match, that tag match. I was there live at Revolution. Some people deem that to be one of the best top tag team matches of all time. And they've already had matches that people have deemed in that category. The Red Dragon match at the Tokyo Dome we've seen was insane.
My personal favorite.
They've had 6-man matches against SCU when they had ACH as their tag partner. That match was insane. Maybe it would have been like a final battle or something from several years back in ROH. My memory is escaping me right now. It's Friday. My brain is like jello at this point. But nobody has put together a string of matches quite like the Bucks. And feel free to comment in the comment section. Give your triple threat. Give your top 3 tag teams of all time. And I will say that there are going to be some people that are going to be pissed off because you already know where I'm getting at? You know which team we left out, right?
Right. And
that's the thing. I could have easily put the Hardy Boys at 1 if I wanted to. Like, I mean, I didn't listen, but I mean, who isn't a Hardy Boys fan? Like,
right, Asian Christian.
And this is
Asian
personal
Christian,
taste. Yeah, it's personal taste too. Like,
also right outside of my list is the world's greatest tag team.
I was gonna say them
because I love Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Oz as a team.
Or the Los Guerreros.
Los Guerreros.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, Benoit and Angle had bangers in the fashion, right? There's so many.
Conan and Rey Mysterio.
There's people that would put the Rockers on there, maybe. Like the Rockers will usually get brought up. But
shout out to the Midnight Express.
Midnight Express.
Rock and Roll Express.
I mean, and that's the fun of these things is like you make the list and you feel like you got it all together and like, that's my final answer. And then you get done with it. You're like, shit, man. Well, what about these guys? That's the fun of it. So plan on this to be a staple with the Kayfabe Connection podcast. This is like the grand finale of each episode is the triple threat. And we're just going to come with just different topics every week. Every single week, different topics, different triple threat stipulations, this week being the tag team. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that out there because there's plenty more matches where that came from. So that's about all we have for today's episode. I mean, anything you want to leave off with? Any plugs or topics otherwise?
I don't have anything.
That's pretty much it.
No. Yeah, well, hope we could entertain you, provide some entertainment in these weird times right now. And I think most importantly, spark a conversation in wrestling. If you disagree with us and you're a WWE diehard, by all means, like, it's a free platform. Like, share your thoughts and opinions. Like, that's the beauty of it, man. Wrestling fans are so awesome. Like, just tapping into people's minds and what they grew up on or what inspired them. Like Larry grew up loving Harlem Heat, and like I'd like to hear more about that. Like that's the beauty of it, man. It's just hearing people's stories of how they got into this sport. We all love it. So it's not about just trashing stuff all the time. We're going to focus on what we like more than just focusing all the attention on stuff that we don't like. So share your opinions on what you like, dislike, all that. It's an open forum. It's an open discussion. So that's really what I'm hoping to inspire, is get some discussion going, because we can make these videos and tweet all of it and do all that, but really it's all about your guys' comments and what you guys think as well. So we're curious to hear what you guys think. The state of wrestling right now as it was. I think that's today's episode. I think we can just basically title this episode "The State of Wrestling," because that's really what we addressed, but there is no label on this show and where it can go. We're going to touch all topics, all promotions, this, that, and the third. So looking forward to providing some entertainment during these times with that. So with that being said, that's it for another episode of Kayfabe Connection. Next time someone tells you wrestling's fake, you know what you tell them? So are movies and TV.